I tell you guys, in the book, the first chapter is entitled "The Times They Are A-Changin'." That's Bob Dylan, and it's. I felt that should be the first chapter because it's about environment. The book talks a lot about tactics and a lot about some of the tips and reads and things, cues I've seen over my years and I thought were interesting. But I felt the first chapter strongly should be on the ethics in coaching. So it's called "The Times They Are A-Changin'." I talk about what coaches can practically do to do a better job. And, the game's become so sophisticated. The preparation is so good. There's so much available to us in terms of video and tactics and analytics. But you're still dealing with people. You're still trying to create a human environment. And I talk a lot about that in the first chapter. So I've tried to, I'm trying in this book, I'm trying as hard as I can to give people food for thought so they will examine what they're doing. I'm not trying to tell people, I don't have all the answers. I have lots of opinions, but I don't have all the answers. And so I'm just trying to help the people that are coming up through the game, because I was lucky when I was young and coaching to be able to look at Claire Drake's teams at Alberta. George Kingston is a wonderful hockey man at the University of Calgary. I learned from those guys. Andy Murray was in our league. Wayne Fleming was in our league. These guys are all amazing coaches. So I was lucky to be able to learn from some great people. And then I've been lucky to coach with a lot of great people too. In the years I coached the NHL team, Canada's at World Championships, I got to work with so many NHL coaches would come in, and you'd have 2 assistant coaches that were NHL coaches. So I've just been lucky to be surrounded by real good players and real good people, like Clody would know for sure. And that combined with trying to get better and improve your skills and do a better job for your players, that's what keeps you kind of going and keeps the game so exciting.
Dave, is there any other part of the book like that you can share with us that would tweak our interest? And that. So, is there anything else in the book that, I'm sure if you looked at a chapter and said you could talk about it, but
yeah, really, I could almost do that. I could almost pick out a chapter for, go through a chapter, and you'd probably find it. You might find a few things there. I think what I tried to do in the book, I've talked about, for example, one chapter on proactive defending. And people think you got to be proactive offensively. I talk about being proactive defensively. And I use 2 examples, Chris Chelios and Brad McCrimmon. If you ever watch them play, they both were guys that used a lot of bluffs, a lot of stalls, a lot of that kind of stuff to put a little pressure on the puck carrier, make them a little nervous. And so I talk about things like that. I've got a chapter on the talent dilemma. How do you coach talent? It's not easy. Some people think coaching talent is, you want talent, but along with talent sometimes come other issues. And I also talk about when you have talent, everybody wonders why you get all the cookies. And you do. You play the power play, you're down a goal, you're going to play. Unfortunately, if you're up 2 goals and you can't check, you probably won't get those cookies. But everybody wonders about why some of the talented players get the break they get. The key is the hardest skill in the game is scoring. And so when you have scorers, you have to make some room for them to play their game. And early in my career, and Claude's a good example, probably can talk about that, I wanted all the players to play 200 feet. I wanted everybody to be real complete. And that was our goal because we were playing against the Russians and they were pretty darn good. But, I don't think I used sometimes a player's other skills as much as I could have. So I talk about that. The playing coach is the organizer. Every team I've ever coached, I can pick out 1 or 2 people that I called organizers. Guys that when it was crunch time, something broke down, they were always there. If somebody pinched, the defenseman pinched and he got feathers, the guy was always there. I talk about Dave Tippett. I talk about Igor Larionov being 2 of the great organizers in the game. Low profile guys to a certain extent, but I talk about some of those things. I have one here I really like, it's called chapter called Apple Pie in the Sky. And then it says, I don't think so. I talk about what's happening in coaching now with small ice games, exploration learning for youngsters versus just always tell, because kids can figure things out better than you think they can. But I talk about some of those things in that chapter that I think are really, really happening in the game today, and I think they are going to work. So I've got lots of chapters like that. I got a chapter on, well, here's a chapter I got to talk about. Here's a story for you. I had a guy named Ronnie. Cliff Ronnie went on to play about 12 or 13, that's it, 13 years in the NHL. Well, when I got him, he didn't realize the pass existed, okay? He always wanted to carry the puck. And I remember Don McLaren, a guy who could shoot the puck like 100 miles an hour, played with Cliff. He came out to practice one day with a duck decoy stuck on the top of his helmet. And it was to get the point across to Cliff that, you might pass the puck and we could get more done. So I talk about things like that, and I've tried to be topical in terms of, you defend to attack is the chapter that's, I think, very interesting. I talk about, offensive zone forward, strike while the iron is hot. 3 is a crowd, 4 is a party. Offense, seize the moment. So I've got a lot of topics I think are driving up Main Street. Spread them out. That's the use of space. The neutral zone, better safe than sorry. The space behind the puck. I talk about the evolution of cycling. So I've tried to make the first 2/3 quite topical and include some stories so people can see where it started and some of those things, Wally. So yeah, I probably could go over a whole chapter with you. And but anyway, that's it. I think it's the best thing I've ever done in hockey is the book in terms of trying to help other people out. I think it does do that. Okay.
I was just thinking 2 things,
Yep.
Dave. Number one, Barry, it sounds like you should, if you still have a job tomorrow, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You should make Dave's book mandatory reading for all the coaching clinics. Number one. Number 2, Dave. Now you're being a true shark. Now you're going to have to do an update.
Yeah.
The book every 3 to 5 years. So you've got another couple of projects ahead of you. Hopefully, lots of projects ahead of you.
Well, I'm more than glad to be on again anytime. I've done a lot of Zoom stuff, since the work stoppage or since the COVID stoppage, and it just amazes me how many times I'm on Zoom calls and those kind of things with other coaches. How there's so many people that love the game and want to, they want to spend a lot of time at it. They're volunteering their time and really enjoying it. So, I've tried in the book to provide food for thought, even for guys coaching kids. When you talk about puck hogs, for example, players won't pass the puck until they value the pass. They understand what the pass can do. The other thing is, at a young age, 5, 6, 7, why would a kid ever pass the puck? He hardly has it. He gets it, and you're telling me he has to pass it? I don't think so. So I talk about the common sense things in coaching children that I've experienced, because I did a lot of hockey school work when I was younger. And I also worked with my grandkids when I was much older. I worked with my grandkids when they were young players. So, I think it's great. And I think that if you guys are doing things, the main thing is if you learn things, pass it along, so I really give you people a lot of credit. I know the Sharks has been going for a long time, and I've heard lots about it, but it was nice to be on, and I would be glad to be on again anytime, Wally.